I'm Chef Jasper, and today we're in the kitchen preparing one of my favorite dishes, Cioppino. That's right, San Francisco Cioppino. And there's a great story behind this that you're going to absolutely love. Now, let's get a nice pot, put it on the stove here. Start with a little bit of olive oil and begin to heat that up. And then we're going to do something a little bit out of the ordinary. We're going to actually put the red pepper in the pan right now, because we want to heat this and give it a lot of flavor. What are we doing? We're actually building layers today. Now, the parsley. This is really different and unique. A lot of times I'll say chop the parsley very, very fine. I'm going to leave a lot of this out. I'll put it at the end. But I'm just going to break the parsley right in the pan here. Now remember, this is going to cook very, very quickly here. We have it on a low heat. But also, we have our garlic cloves. And here they are, and you can chop them, you can smash them, do whatever you want with them. I'm going to give this just a quick chop because I want the pieces of garlic in here, and I want you to taste them and bite into them in this dish. That's up to you, though. Okay, let that stir around a little bit here, mix it up a little bit. Oregano. Yes, we're putting the oregano in the pan with the oil right now. And you can really start to smell everything coming up. This is very similar to what I call a sofrito. This is the beginning of my stock, you would say. But like I said earlier, we're building layers. And that's really about enough. Maybe a minute and a half or so. That's all you really want. At this point, we're going to reduce the pan with some wine. And while that's reducing, I have some calamari, the squid. We're going to cut this up. Our pan is still hot, and some of that wine's reducing out there. And we'll reduce it again with a little more wine. There we go. Because we don't want to fry the calamari. We're just looking to give it a lot of flavor. Come on. What are you thinking? Are you okay with those? I know I like the calamari in my Cioppino. Now, while this is just starting to cook down a little bit, let's talk a little bit about Cioppino itself. Why do we call it Cioppino? So as the legend goes, in San Francisco, all the fishermen would go out. They would get their seafood, and of course they'd come back and they would chip in to a big pot and make a big pot of either a seafood soup or maybe a seafood pasta. But that's where you get the word, chip in. Now, if we're in Italy, we would call this something a little bit different, but it's really all the same. It's an Italian seafood soup is what we're doing. And really all the basics of Italian cooking are in here. Olive oil, garlic, wine, tomatoes. Does it get any better? I don't think so. Now you see this calamari, it's cooking very, very quickly, but again, it's going to continue to cook. And I like these big fat rings. I just wanted to give it just a little bit of flavor to my wine and oil. We're going to add a little more wine at this point. Add our bay leaves now. Very, very dangerous. I always tell everybody, remember, we need to take these out once we get ready to serve. We don't want anybody biting into a bay leaf. And don't chop them up at all. Just kind of gently put those in there. At this point, now we're going to start adding what I like to say, we're going to be building layers. So we have some shrimp, we can add that. Tail on, shell on, that's me, I kind of like that. And then we got to look and see what cooks at different temperatures and how this is going to cook down. I'm going to raise the heat a little bit here. And I know I'm not going to throw my scallops into the end because really the scallops, they'll almost reduce to hardly anything. You don't want a small scallop in there. And they cook so very quickly. We're going to add our tomatoes. And these tomatoes will all cook down and break up. Remember, don't touch that bay leaf in there. There we go. Continue to give this a stir. Clam juice. This is my seafood stock right here. And, of course, just a little salt, not much, because we have enough salt with all the seafood and, of course, that that clam juice. Okay, so at this point now, while this is getting ready to come to a boil, and we probably have another couple minutes on that, I'll raise the heat even a little more on this. I'm going to add my favorite. This is really what sets my Cioppino from everybody else's. I put pasta in it. And get some little baby pasta. Maybe the little baby shells, which I'm using, or the pastina even. Pastina is what we were all raised on as children. And it looks just like little peppercorns almost. Or you could put the stars in there, or you can even put Datali in there. But remember, the more pasta you put in here, the more starch, and it's going to absorb a lot of the liquid. So if you don't want something really, really too thick, maybe add the pasta maybe 3/4 way through and let it cook down a little bit in there. But it's going to be al dente, and that's okay because it takes about 8 minutes or so once I add all the seafood to this. All right, at this point we have our soup stock, our brodo we like to call it, coming to a boil. I'm going to put a little bit of cracked pepper in here. Not much because, you know, I got a little heavy hand with the red pepper. That's what I like. And then we're going to add the pasta I told you about. So we'll put that in there, give it a stir. Remember, it's going to take about 8 minutes or so. And I think about this time we're going to want to put the clams in, the mussels. Don't be shy. Put that juice in there. That gives the stock some flavor. And then we're going to need to adjust our seasoning at this point. So, always have a handy spoon. And let's see what we can do here. I think we have enough pepper in there. It's going to need a little salt. And I think maybe I need a little more broth in here. Don't throw away those tomatoes. Anything that's left over, the juice and all, we can always cook with that. So cook this down. Again, everything's starting to really, really cook. I could tell because look at the shrimp. That's what we want right now. Mussels will probably start opening up here in a minute or so. There we go. Mussels are opening up on us. You know what that means? It's time for the scallops. And remember, I wanted to get that flavor from the parsley beforehand, so I sauteed it in a little bit of olive oil with oregano and garlic and red pepper. Well, now we're going to add some whole leaves again. It's right on top. I remember my father would sometimes put some spinach in here or Italian greens. That's up to you. Whatever you have, we're chipping in. It's Cioppino. And that pasta's really cooking a little quicker than I thought, but we have a nice boil going here. Just look at that. Oh, wow. All right, at this point, let's finish up. Make sure you take out those bay leaves. It's a must. Set them aside. This is just an old Italian tradition right here. We're just going to put a little bit of olive oil. We like to call it finishing the dish. Some people even put a little bit of butter at the end. Yes, butter in the brodo. It's delicious. Wow, just look at this. Well, now let me put this in a bowl, and we have to add some delicious garlic toast that we prepared ahead of time. Just look at all of this seafood. This cooked in less than 10 minutes. And look at that pasta in there. It really does make a difference. Can you hear those shells banging against each other? And of course, some of that nice broth right on top. Oh my, this is a meal fit for a king. Finish up with a little bit of garlic toast. I like to put the garlic toast right on the edge like that. And this is one dish that I'm honored to serve my family. Brought to you by Hen House Markets.